2000 through 2007 Toyota Sequoia with the 4.7 liter V8 engine alternator replacement. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing that alternator. First thing we need to do is disconnect the negative battery cable. Next, we need to pop off the serpentine belt, and to do that I'm going to use my mountain wrenches. They're combination wrenches. They're about 18 inches long. You can use a regular ratchet or wrench to do this also. So we're going to put the tool onto the tensioner down there below on the 14 millimeter head of it, and then we're going to rotate the tensioner clockwise, and that's going to spring the tension free, and you can slip the belt off the idler pulley right there. Next, we need to loosen up the top bolt for the power steering pump, and it's a 14 millimeter nut actually. So I'm going to use a wrench and crack that free. It's just underneath the air snorkel here. If it's in the way for you, if your wrenches or tools are longer, you may have to remove this portion of the air snorkel to loosen the bolt. Now we're going to go underneath and remove the lower splash shield here. You don't need to rack it up, but it does help if you have a way to lift the vehicle up. So once you get that off, now you can see right here where the tool was on the tensioner, now I'm just going to slip it off the alternator here. I'm trying not to unroute the belt, just leave it in the area. Just slip it off as much as you need. Next, we need to remove this wiring harness holder here, and then you can go around the back of the frame here and look towards the back of the alternator. Now you can unplug the electrical connector here. You'll just squeeze a little tab. It's underneath this little rubber boot. You may have to pull the rubber boot off to squeeze the tab. You squeeze it and pull the electrical connector off. Then there's going to be a plastic cover over the positive lead here. You can pop that plastic cover off and remove the 10 millimeter nut holding the wire on. Then you can pull the wiring harness down and out of your way. Now we need to go back in the front of the alternator and remove the two bolts. There's a nut on top and a long bolt here. Once you get that unbolted, the alternator is pretty much free, but it will not come off because it's making contact with the power steering pumps. That's why I had you loosen the top nut. So we need to remove two more bolts from the power steering pump, and then we're going to swing the pump out of our way to clear the alternator to pull it off. So you're going to need a 14 millimeter socket and a short extension, and it's right here. You're going to stick it through the pulley of the power steering pump. You may have to push the radiator hose out of your way. It's flexible, so it'll move. So you'll line it up. You'll remove the two bolts that are holding the power steering pump on. There's one above the alternator and one to the left of the alternator. You'll remove those two bolts. After you get those two bolts removed, now you can rotate the power steering pump towards the passenger side of the vehicle. It's got a little bit of tension on it, so to help push it over, what I did was use a 18 millimeter wrench, and I put it on the end of the power steering pump right here. There's a little spot where you can put it on, and then you can use the wrench to torque the power steering pump over, and now you can slide the alternator towards the radiator and off. Now you can lower the alternator out of the vehicle. So I'm going to be installing a Denso remanufactured alternator. I will link up the parts in the description of the video. So after matching it up, I just put my wrench back on the power steering pump here, rotated it over counterclockwise, and slid the alternator back on over its post, started the two bolts, and then you can swing the power steering pump back into place and start all the bolts here and tighten those up. So you're going to tighten the bolts all for the alternator and the power steering pump back up. Now you can take the wire loom here, put it back into its little holder, and then you can start the positive feed and start the nut and plug in the electrical connector on the back. Make sure you put that little plastic cap back on. You don't want anything falling on that and arcing out. From underneath, it's easier to slip the belt on, so I made sure it was routed around all the pulleys. And that's also why I didn't unroute all the belt. I just slipped it off. So once I get it routed back as far as I can go, put the tool back onto the tensioner here and rotate it counterclockwise. It's a lot easier actually to put the belt on from underneath. Now you can put the lower skid plate shield back on and bolt it back up. Now you're ready to start the vehicle up. I recommend you put a voltmeter on it and double check that it's charging. And that'll complete the job of replacing the alternator on a Toyota Sequoia. I'll be sure to link up all the parts and tools that I use in this video, including the Milwaukee underhood light and Milwaukee Tools brand new wrenches that they just came out with. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to subscribe. Invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. Thank you again for watching.